1. The Lich from Adventure Time, Cartoon Network. In Adventure Time, the Lich is perhaps the darkest figure in a show that often mixes whimsy and surrealism. He's an ancient, cosmic-level evil entity whose very purpose is destruction and the end of all life. For kids watching, the Lich stands out because he isn't overtly goofy like many cartoon villains. He's cold, unstoppable, and his goals are existential. He was described on a Cartoon Network top villains list as being more powerful than many other evil forces in the show's lore. What makes him especially disturbing is how he corrupts innocence, transforming characters, manipulating reality, and turning fun adventure into pure horror. In the early seasons, the show feels light, but whenever the Lich appears, the tone shifts sharply. Bodies rot, worlds collapse, and hope fades. Because it airs on a kid-friendly channel, that tonal shift carries extra weight. Something you assumed safe suddenly becomes genuinely scary. For a childhood viewer, it registers as, this fun cartoon just got real for a second. The idea of an overarching evil that is far beyond the usual bad guy of the week is unnerving. Not just a villain scheme, but annihilation itself. That mixture of cartoony color and genuine horror sticks with you long after childhood. 2. Toffee from Star vs. the Forces of Evil, Disney XD. In Star vs. the Forces of Evil, Toffee appears as a calm, calculating, skeletal lizard-style villain whose plans span seasons rather than single episodes. He hides a long game of revenge, manipulation, and corruption under polite politicking. A list of 10 creepiest villains from kids' shows ranked him near the top. What makes Toffee chilling is that he infiltrates the colorful, lighthearted world of a teenage princess and magical monsters. He uses patience and cunning rather than overt gore, which allows his threat to creep underneath the main narrative. For a kid's cartoon, the idea that someone your hero trusts could be playing a long game of betrayal is deeply unsettling. The bright animation, whimsical characters, and magical settings mask a villain who is highly intelligent, emotionally manipulative, and relentless. That contrast between the playful world you're drawn into and the threat operating in the background magnifies the creepiness. In retrospect, Toffee isn't just evil, he's the kind of evil that waits, watches, and changes everything from behind the scenes. For childhood memories, that leaves a lasting impression. 3. Him from the Powerpuff Girls, Cartoon Network. In the Powerpuff Girls, Him stands out as one of the most bizarre and psychologically unsettling antagonists in a children's show. According to The Guardian's list of worst children's TV villains, Him was cited as especially disturbing. He is designed almost like a caricature of pure chaos and malice. Flaming red skin, crab-like claws, a voice that switches from high-pitched to menacing growl, and an underlying darkness that goes beyond typical villainy. While the show is bright and action-packed, the presence of Him introduces a sense that the world of the Powerpuff Girls is more fragile than it seems. He doesn't just fight the heroes, he manipulates them, taunts them, and warps the very foundations of their city. For children watching, this blending of cartoon aesthetics with sinister undertones creates a cognitive gap. Fun show plus monstrous villain equals weird. Him's creepy presence lingers because he feels less like a foe and more like a corrupting force inside the safe world of childhood. That makes him memorable and deeply unsettling in retrospect. 4. Mr. Boss in the adult villain structure from Codename Kids Next Door, Cartoon Network. While not a single monstrous villain, the series Codename Kids Next Door features a rogues gallery of adult villains built around the concept of adults being against kids. The exaggerated evil underside of everyday authority. Mr. Boss, corporate-type adult, and the father figure, malevolent paternal uncle, show a creepiness that resonates because it touches childhood fear. That grown-ups who are supposed to protect you might be acting against you. The show uses absurdity, but the emotional framework is real. Kids versus adults, feeling powerless and manipulated. For a child viewer, the idea of adults enforcing arbitrary rules becomes a theme of villainy. The show uses humor, But the underlying vibe, kid oppression by adult systems, is genuinely unsettling. In the broader landscape of kids' cartoons, few villains reflect that kind of social fear and psychological threat. That's why even though the show is essentially playful, its villains leave an impression more than mere goofiness. 5. Zixie from Symbionic Titan Cartoon Network. In Symbionic Titan, Zixie is a hostile alien organism with the ability to forcibly take over a person's body in a horrifying way. Tentacles down the throat, mind control, visible strain, and pain. Wired described Zixie as the nastiest villain on TV, even for a CG animated kids-ish show. What makes Zixie so disturbing is how physical and visceral his actions are. Alien body horror in a cartoon aimed at younger viewers. The contrast between robot fighters in high school and this parasite that invades, twists, and controls your body pushes the show into surprisingly dark territory. For younger viewers, scenes of bodily invasion, loss of control, and terror felt deeply out of step with typical children's animation. Zixie doesn't talk in typical villain monologues. He just happens, and what he does is primal fear. The horror isn't just villain wants power. It's villain takes your body, your agency. That kind of horror inside a cartoon world makes Zixie one of the creepiest villains for the 2010 cartoon era. 6. Aku Samurai Jack, 2001 to 2004. Aku, the shape-shifting master of darkness, presents a powerful kind of childhood fear, time travel, unstoppable evil, and a hero unable to always win. The show is visually stylized and serious. Aku's design, black flaming head, wide red mouth, horns, is terrifying. The context of the hero being a child, Samurai Jack, and the villain controlling time and fate adds existential dread. While not always included in mainstream creepiest villains lists, the era, early 2000s, and his tone make him a strong shout for creepy childhood villain. The idea of a future where evil has won and you're stuck is especially daunting for kids. Aku doesn't just threaten you, he controls your world, changes past and future, and makes safe places into battlefields. For a young viewer, that sense of powerless come cosmic despair is rare in cartoons, and that makes Aku stick. 7. The Joker, Batman the Animated Series, 1992 to 1995. While the Joker is a known villain, in the early 90s cartoon adaptation, he perhaps became even more unnerving for kids because of how he blended humor and horror. According to 10 Scary Villains from 90s kids shows, he's one of the standout creepy ones. The show wrapped him in sharp lines, bold animation, and unnerving unpredictability. One moment it's a colorful burst of laughter, next it's a chilling act of chaos. For children watching, that shift between playful jester and violent psychopath is jarring. The Joker in this era wasn't just evil. He toyed with victims, turned innocence into toy-like traps, and used gas, death machines, and psychological torture, all under the guise of fun. The idea that something designed to make you laugh can kill you makes him especially scary. In late childhood or early adolescence, you saw him as a big bad villain, but retrospectively you realize this is someone who turned the familiar, amusement, jokes, toys, into threats. His clownish visage evokes childhood amusements, but twisted. That contrast deepens the creep factor. Good versus evil in a childhood cartoon becomes comfort versus terror. The Joker stands out for showing that even in a kid-oriented show, the danger can feel real, unpredictable, and close to home. 8. Angelica Pickles, Rugrats, Nickelodeon. Angelica appears initially as the spoiled older toddler in Rugrats, always bossing the babies around. But what makes Angelica creepier than we often remember is the way she manipulates other children with a false sweetness, turns innocently inquisitive play into spiteful routines, and consistently threatens abandonment or humiliation. According to listings of 90s cartoon villains, Angelica features because of how she subverts the cute baby/child trope. You expect innocence, but she acts with full awareness of her power and uses terror in subtle doses. In childhood, you might have laughed at her antics, but looking back, the unsettling part is, who taught her that cruelty is fun, and why did the show never fully punish it? She uses bribery, guilt trips, and threats of exclusion, all emotional tools far beyond kids playing and more aligned with psychological bullying. That makes her a villain who works with what childhood already fears. The idea that someone your own age or younger can hold power over you, twist your world, and make you feel unsafe. Because she's within the same child world, the baby's world, but still rules it, she disrupts that safe space. The contrast between bright graphics, cheerful babies, and Angelica's emotional sabotage gives her an edge that stays with you. 9. The Flying Dutchman, SpongeBob SquarePants. Also from SpongeBob SquarePants, the Flying Dutchman is a ghost pirate whose presence within a comedic show brings in genuine ghost story tropes. He is capricious, vengeful, and manipulates fear as part of his arsenal. On the surface, his episodes are fun, pirate ghost, appearance scare, comedic resolution. But for a child, it introduces the idea of supernatural punishment, shifting rules, and unpredictable danger. According to rankings of SpongeBob villains, the Flying Dutchman appears among the more memorable and evil antagonists. What makes his episodes stick is the mixture of humor and threat. He will vanish, return, haunt you for broken promises or silly slips. And he already embodies the trope of ghost comes back to exact the debt inside a supposedly safe underwater environment. The contrast between the bright undersea world and the ominous specter adds a layer of unease. For kids, the normal world, Bikini Bottom, is turned inside out because something from the past, lost world, the ghost pirate, invades it. That collision of carefree childhood show and ghost story tension is what lets the Flying Dutchman stand out. He is a reminder that even in cartoons meant to be harmless, there can be horror motifs lurking beneath, and that affects how you remember those episodes later. 10. The Beast, Over the Garden Wall. The Beast is the main bad guy in Over the Garden Wall. He lives in the mysterious forest called the Unknown. You rarely see his full form. Most of the time, he appears as a startling silhouette with antlers, glowing eyes, and a cloak-like shape that blends into the trees. What makes him truly unsettling is what he does. He finds lost children or people who have given up hope, and he tricks them into believing things that aren't true. One of his terrifying acts is turning children into edelwood trees to fuel the lantern kept by the woodsman. He doesn't just fight physically, he preys on despair, on someone thinking there's no way out, and then uses that to trap them permanently. The Beast uses manipulations, lies, and fear rather than simply brute force. He convinces the woodsman that his daughter's soul is in the lantern. Meanwhile, it's actually the Beast's own soul. He capitalizes on giving up, on surrendering, which makes him symbolic of giving up hope. He's less a monster you punch than a darkness you drift into. Visually and thematically, he is haunting. Antlers, shadows, silent singing, manipulated trees bearing faces of victims. Even though Over the Garden Wall has light and whimsical moments, the Beast brings something deeply eerie. A reminder that when you lose your way or your hope, something worse might find you. 11. Every villain from Courage the Cowardly Dog, Cartoon Network. In the cartoon, Courage the Cowardly Dog, the villains form a truly wild rogues gallery, far stranger and darker than you might expect from a kids' show. Set in the isolated farmhouse just outside the town of Nowhere, Courage the timid pink dog repeatedly faces off against monsters, aliens, maniacs, and supernatural horrors. What makes the villains especially creepy is their variety and the way they mess with normality. For example, King Ramses appears as the ghost of an ancient Egyptian pharaoh who appears via a stone slab stolen by grave robbers, then curses the farm with horrifying visions and plagues. Freaky Fred is Muriel's nephew, who is obsessed with cutting hair, using poetry, rhymes, and a chilling calm to mask his disturbing fixation. Katz is a sadistic cat with a British accent whose businesses end in torture or death, often against humans. These kinds of antagonists push the show beyond simple, bad guy shows up and is stopped fair. Many times the horror is atmospheric. Weird visuals, odd sound design, unsettling transformations surreal threats. The countryside farm atmosphere gives a false sense of safety, but the villains constantly break that safe space. Because of that contrast, cute dog plus spooky villains plus remote farm setting, the show manages to be both funny and deeply unnerving. For many kids, certain episodes left a lasting haunted feeling.